In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm starts official visit to France. Later on, Vietnam targets over 7% of GDP growth for 2024. In our world news, bomb explosion near Pakistan Karachi airport leaves 2 dead and 8 injured.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm began an official visit to France on October the 7th, invited by French President Emmanuel Macron. A welcome ceremony took place at the Invalides Palace, led by French Minister of the Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu. This marked the first visit by a Vietnamese state president to France in 22 years, aiming to deepen the Vietnam-France strategic partnership. Over 50 years of diplomatic relations and a decade of strategic partnership have strengthened political trust between the two nations. During this visit, the two sides discussed enhancing cooperation in trade, investment, culture, education, science, and technology. They also emphasized strengthening party foreign affairs and supporting the Vietnamese community in France. France is the 7th largest investor in Vietnam's tourism sector, with 14 projects totaling $188 million, and Vietnam considers France a key market. On October the 7th, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm met with French National Assembly President Yael Braun-Pivet. He congratulated her on her re-election and extended an invitation for her to visit Vietnam. The General Secretary and State President praised France for successfully hosting the Francophone Summit, which enhanced economic cooperation. The French National Assembly President emphasized the importance of the visit for strengthening bilateral relations. The Vietnamese leader requested the French National Assembly expedite the ratification of the Vietnam-EU Investment Protection Agreement. He also urged support for removing the yellow card on Vietnamese seafood. Yael Braun-Pivet expressed a commitment to helping Vietnam adapt to climate change. Both leaders recognized the significance of local cooperation for cultural exchanges. They also stressed the importance of freedom of navigation in regional matters. The discussions highlighted a shared interest in deepening ties between Vietnam and France. During a meeting with Nguyễn Hải Nam, president of the France-Vietnam Friendship Association, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm conveyed warm greetings to long-standing French friends who have consistently supported Vietnam. The General Secretary and State President praised the association's role in fostering exchanges and practical projects across Vietnam, affirming the state's commitment to facilitating its effective operation. The top leader encouraged the association to enhance collaboration with patriotic organizations in France to promote solidarity activities in supporting Vietnam. He also emphasized the importance of engaging younger generations in exchanges and foreign affairs. Recently, the association has undertaken numerous initiatives, including support for Agent Orange victims and mobilizing aid for those affected by Typhoon Yagi. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired an online conference with 63 localities, reviewing the socio-economic performance of September and the first 9 months of 2023. Concluding the meeting, he emphasized prioritizing growth while maintaining macroeconomic stability, controlling inflation, and ensuring economic balance, with a goal of over 7% GDP growth for the year and 7.5 to 8% in the fourth quarter.
The Prime Minister acknowledged the contributions of ministries, localities, and sectors, especially noting that Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City together accounted for more than 51% of the state budget revenue. He also commended provinces that overcame challenges like storms and floods, with some seeing growth rates exceeding 10%. Three key factors were credited for the positive results.
First, the government and localities strictly followed directives from the Central Committee, Politburo, and National Assembly, including guidance from the late General Secretary Nguyen Xuan Loc and the current General Secretary and State President To Lump. Second, the entire political system, led by the party, worked in unity with the government, people, businesses, and international partners. Third, central and local agencies improved coordination, reduced bureaucracy, eliminated favoritism, strengthened anti-corruption measures, and reinforced administrative discipline.
The Prime Minister acknowledged challenges, including the impact of Typhoon Yagi, lingering COVID-19 effects, slow public investment disbursement, and difficulties in production. He stressed lessons such as comprehending circumstances, responding quickly and flexibly, ensuring clear responsibilities, and strengthening discipline. Looking ahead, the Prime Minister outlined 12 key tasks for ministries and localities. These include implementing Resolution 143 to address storm recovery, stabilizing lives, and boosting production. He also emphasized improving laws, removing legal obstacles, reforming administrative procedures, and advancing digital transformation. Additionally, he called for effective monetary and fiscal policy coordination, with the Ministry of Finance proposing an extra $4 billion for infrastructure projects. Key priorities include promoting growth drivers, ensuring essential supplies, decentralizing power, providing housing support for disaster victims, and accelerating public investment to improve livelihoods.
On October the 7th, Prime Minister Phie met with Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum WEF. Both expressed their satisfaction with the deepening Vietnam-WEF relations, highlighted by the recent inauguration of the Center for Industrial Revolution 4.0 in Ho Chi Minh City, which has joined WEF's global network at its second center in Southeast Asia. The Prime Minister proposed that the center serve as a model within this network, driving the application of advanced technologies in key economic sectors. He also requested continued support from Professor Klaus Schwab and the WEF to connect Vietnam with global corporations and investment funds, focusing on high-quality investments in technology, energy transitioning, the green economy, and sustainable infrastructure, while fostering a startup and innovation ecosystem. Prime Minister Phie and Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, on Monday visited Vietnam National University, Hanoi, and talked to students on the topic of positioning Vietnam in the smart era, a vision for the young generation. More on the meeting in this next story.
This marks Professor Klaus Schwab's first visit to Vietnam in 6 years, during which he aims to inspire and encourage innovation, creativity, and resilience among students and youth at Hanoi National University. Speaking at the exchange, Professor Klaus Schwab discussed the concept of the smart era, emphasizing that it is not an abstract idea but a reality that young people in Vietnam and around the world will live, study, and work in. He stated that Vietnam's true advantage will depend on developing a knowledge economy that encompasses not only skills and professional capacities but also environmental, social, and political strengths. Joining in the talks with students, Prime Minister Phie agreed with Schwab on an inclusive and comprehensive approach and his mention of the smart era. He emphasized that smart is not only in technology but also in the economy by improving labor productivity, gaining benefits according to one's labor, and in society, being smart is also reflected in fairness, bridging the gap between rich and poor, leaving no one behind. Prime Minister said that to reach the smart era, Vietnam needs to keep improving institutions, human resources and infrastructure for smart development, while the young generation will be the core force in Vietnam's smart era.
During a meeting with Professor Klaus Schwab, head of the Central Economic Commission Chinlu expressed Vietnam's desire for support in developing policies. He noted that while Vietnam has prepared new guidelines and approaches to leverage global trends and transformations, there are still significant challenges in effectively implementing these policies. The head of the Central Economic Commission hopes to continue receiving support from the professor and the World Economic Forum to refine these development strategies. The 44th and 45th ASEAN summits and related meetings will take place in Vientiane, Laos from Tuesday to Friday. These summits represent the most significant high-level ASEAN events of the year. Prime Minister Phie will lead the Vietnamese delegation to the event, delivering key messages about ASEAN's future and Vietnam's commitment to regional success.
Under the theme ASEAN, Enhancing Connectivity and Resilience, the summits provide a platform for leaders to discuss strategic priorities, enhance cooperation, and address shared challenges, including climate change, natural disasters, and extreme weather events.
We are prepared to convey significant messages and contributions from Vietnam to guide ASEAN cooperation, influence the future of Asia, and establish ASEAN's role within the regional and global security framework. These key points will be presented by Vietnam, the delegation, and the Prime Minister at the conference.
Nearly 3 decades of active participation in ASEAN have seen Vietnam emerge as a pivotal connector, fostering balanced relations within the organization and promoting cooperation in areas such as green and digital transformation and sustainable development. This has strengthened ASEAN's central role and helped shape its future beyond 2025.
First, Vietnam continually strives for self-reform. Second, the country has introduced numerous initiatives that enhance regional contributions. Lastly, the most notable aspect has been Vietnam's strategic vision and sense of global responsibility.
For Vietnam, I think its biggest contribution has always been, and it has been, regionally and internationally acknowledged, is its contribution to the ASEAN, economic growth, GDP. It has been contributing year after year to the increasing GDP.
In the spirit of dialogue, collaboration, and goodwill, Vietnam has effectively fostered reconciliation of differences, harmonized interests, and promoted solidarity, thereby strengthening consensus within ASEAN toward a more connected and self-reliant community.
Coming up next on VTV News, Vietnam fosters innovation to attract investment. And later on, documentary Film Week celebrates 70th anniversary of Hanoi's Liberation Day. Welcome back to VTV News Live. The Ministry of Finance is requiring localities and units to resolutely implement tasks and solutions to promote the disbursement of public investment capital. The goal is to avoid wasting investment resources. Currently, many localities in the Mekong Delta are rushing to speed up the disbursement progress in the last months of the year.
The final intersection of Ring Road 3 passing through Long An has an investment capital of more than $169 million. This capital source has been disbursed quite smoothly.
We have now disbursed over 80% of the investment capital. We are asking the government for $6 billion to disburse from now until the end of the year.
Long An is the leading province in the country in disbursing public investment capital. Localities in the Mekong Delta are also drastically implementing many solutions.
We regularly go to the construction site to resolve difficulties and obstacles of the projects to bring the project to the finish line as soon as possible.
Public investment capital will be invested mostly in the transport sector. In order for projects to be completed quickly, ensuring the source of sand is the focus of localities now.
We have 40 barges to transport sand operating from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. to serve the construction of key traffic projects.
The government has always paid attention, directed, and especially promptly issued many mechanisms and policies to remove difficulties and obstacles for localities to disperse public investment capital. This is a favorable condition for projects to be deployed quickly and soon completed.
Vietnam is emerging as a prime destination for foreign direct investment, FDI, particularly in high-quality sectors, with major global tech players like NVIDIA, Google, and Meta showing increasing interest. These companies are drawn to Vietnam not just for manufacturing, but also as a hub for developing their research and development R&D strategies in cutting-edge fields.
Meta is expected to create over 1,000 jobs and inject millions of dollars into Vietnam's economy through its production of virtual reality glasses. This initiative is a result of Vietnam's collaboration with global tech giants. According to Google's Southeast Asia Economic Impact Report, Vietnam is well placed to harness the opportunities presented by artificial intelligence. With a dynamic startup ecosystem, a tech-savvy population, 20% of which is young people, and supportive government policies, Vietnam stands ready to take advantage of the AI boom.
In innovation sectors, human resources are critical, and the challenge lies in quickly enhancing the practical and testing skills of young engineers with specialized expertise in electronics and semiconductors.
For 14 consecutive years, Vietnam has consistently outperformed its developmental stage in terms of innovation, according to a report from the World Intellectual Property Organization. This reflects the country's ability to transform institutional and infrastructural resources into tangible innovation outcomes.
Vietnam takes innovation very seriously. And in fact, Vietnam is one of the few countries in the world to translate WIPO's Global Innovation Index into provincial level innovation index.
Vietnam is home to a growing innovation ecosystem with 4,000 startups, more than 200 investment funds, 84 incubators, 35 business promotion organizations, and 20 innovation startup centers. These resources, alongside foreign investors, are helping to build a sustainable foundation for mutual success in the digital era.
The Vietnamese team, comprising of 24 students from primary and secondary schools in Hanoi, won 24 medals at the 2024 International Mathematics and Science Olympiad held in China. This team achieved its best results ever, 2 outstanding awards in the exploration and theory tests, along with 9 gold medals, 14 silver medals, and 1 bronze medal. Vietnam ranked 2nd overall in the competition, which included 18 countries and 300 participants. These achievements not only showcase the students' exceptional thinking and knowledge, but also represent a source of pride for Vietnamese education as a whole, and for the capital in particular. On October the 7th, Hue Central Hospital announced its first successful allogenic bone marrow transplant for patients with congenital hemolytic disease, marking the first such procedure in the Central and Central Highlands region and making it the 2nd hospital in Vietnam to perform this advanced technique. The first transplant was performed on a 3.5-year-old boy, matched perfectly with his sister, followed by an 8-year-old boy also matched with his sister. Both patients recovered quickly. Allogenic bone marrow transplant uses hematopoietic stem cells from relatives or unrelated donors, offering a chance for complete recovery and a healthy life without blood transfusions. The achievement represents significant progress in treating genetic diseases in pediatric patients. On Monday morning, the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel Heritage Site in Hanoi launched an exhibition of archival documents to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the capital, themed Hanoi and the Old City Gates. One notable highlight of the event is the exhibition site called Victory Gates, which recounts the historic moment when the army advanced through the ancient city gates to reclaim Hanoi in October 1954, and the victory flag-raising ceremony on October 10, 1954. The exhibition features three main themes: ancient city gates, victory city gates, and Hanoi city gates of today. The feature documents and images vividly recreate the history of these ancient gates and illustrate the social development around them and their eventual disappearance in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Additionally, the exhibition reflects on the process of reclaiming the capital and the subsequent development of Hanoi following reunification. The exhibition will be open to residents and visitors until October 30th, 2024. The documentary Film Week about Hanoi is currently taking place, with the documentaries available on VTVgo until October 10th. This is a key event in the series of activities celebrating the 70th anniversary of Hanoi's Liberation Day by Vietnam television. 20 documentaries share valuable insights into the Hanoi, the 1,000-year-old capital.
Where Peace Begins, a film recently released by Vietnam television, takes viewers back to 1946, when Hanoi was the first place where the National Resistance War began. 9 years later, the day of liberation on October 10, 1954, Hanoi is where an eternal peace for the future began.
Hanoi is where everything started to be liberated. We had to take a look back at the story of the 9 years of the resistance war before the peace began.
During the documentary Film Week, about 20 documentaries were screened. Alongside War and Peace, Hanoi experienced turbulence in many aspects. It includes the contributions and sacrifice of the police force seen through major cases, the concern about the quintessential cultural value of Thăng Long, and the celebrities, scholars, and intellectuals who create the soul of Hanoi.
We chose to make it simple with daily stories, with specific people. The setting, camera angle, and way of expression are to show that Hanoi is truly lovely with its simple beauty.
Each generation of Hanoians passing through leaves behind many marks in the lifestyle, architecture, streets, and historical relics. Hanoi is a pride of the people living in the city.
Coming up next in our world news. Bomb explosion near Pakistan Karachi airport leaves 2 dead and 8 injured. And later on, Nobel Prize in Medicine awarded to scientists for work on microRNA. Now moving on to our world news. 2 people have died and at least 8 have been injured after a bomb exploded near a major airport in Pakistan. According to Pakistani police, the explosion originated from an oil tanker outside Karachi airport, the country's largest airport. The fire then spread to many other vehicles. The cause of the explosion is currently being investigated, and the police have not ruled out terrorism. Immediately after the incident, in an emailed statement to the press, the militant group Baloch Liberation Army claimed to have carried out the explosion targeting foreigners. The Nobel Prizes are to be announced this week, starting with the award for medicine on physiology on Monday. The Nobel Prize in Physiology for Medicine 2024 has been awarded to 2 scientists, Victor Ambros and Gary Rufkun, for their work on tiny RNA molecules that help cells control which proteins they produce. Announced by the Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, the winners will share equally a prize of 11 million Swedish kronor. Although the ability for microRNA to regulate genes had existed for hundreds of millions of years, its discovery was the result of decades of work by the 2 scientists. Hurricane Milton quickly intensified on Sunday and is on track to become a major hurricane, with the Tampa Bay area in its sight, putting Florida on edge and triggering evacuation orders along a coast still reeling from Hurricane Helene's devastation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said on Sunday that while it remains to be seen where Milton will strike, It's clear the state is going to be hit hard. He added that Floridians should prepare for more power outages and disruptions, and to make sure they have a week's worth of food and water and are ready to hit the road. According to Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, they are most likely preparing for a largest evacuation since 2017's Hurricane Irma. The 189th Munich Oktoberfest ended on Sunday after 6.7 million visitors attended the world's largest beer festival, according to the city of Munich. Let's take a look.
The final day of the two-week-long party at the Bavarian capital's Theresienwiese, known by locals as Wiesn, was marked by the traditional gun salute at the bottom of the Bavaria statue, where hundreds of onlookers listened to the brass band accompanying the ceremony.
It was a peaceful and beautiful Wiesn Oktoberfest. The security concept was perfect. That was important to me. And here, the numbers are a lot larger than last year. That shows our media campaign worked, and we ensured that this Oktoberfest was a safe and wonderful festival.
Official figures released by the city of Munich show beer sales this year is around 7 million 1-liter mugs. The heavy glass mugs appeared so popular with visitors that this year,
I would say this trend shows that the Oktoberfest offers quality in food and drink and as an event overall. It has always been important to me to offer a quality festival and not to chase records in terms of visitors, but of quality. We succeeded, and that makes me proud.
According to the city of Munich, Oktoberfest's start was brought forward to September in 1872 to make use of the late summer weather. Ever since, Oktoberfest has begun on the Saturday after September 15th and ended on the first Sunday in October.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.